They are everywhere. In government, at your workplace, in your circle of friends. People capable of destroying something precious for everyone and for themselves without any logical reason. Today, you will understand why critical thinking is disappearing, how collective stupidity spreads like an epidemic, and why even intelligent people are falling into it. You will discover the 5 secret laws of human stupidity, how incompetent leaders reach power, and how this invisible force is pushing the entire world toward collapse. And the most frightening part is that no one is immune. If you think you can recognize a stupid person, you may be making the biggest mistake of your life. If topics like psychology, philosophy, and the darkness of the human soul interest you, subscribe to the channel now. Stupidity is not just a lack of knowledge or a momentary lapse of judgment. It is a structuring force of social reality, a kind of invisible virus that shapes the fate of societies, silent but deeply destructive. Carlos Apala, in his provocative essay, realized that to fight this force, it was first necessary to understand it, classify it, and map its effects. He presented us with a hidden map of human stupidity, revealing 4 categories of behavior that determine how our actions affect the world, for better or worse. The first category is the helpless. These people harm themselves but end up benefiting others. They are the involuntary altruists, the ones who give ground without noticing, who sacrifice without realizing who truly benefits from their efforts. Despite their good intentions, the impact of these actions is ambiguous. Collective good may arise, but at the cost of their own well-being. The helpless person is often the silent gear in systems that exploit mercilessly, never realizing that their sacrifice can be manipulated for sinister purposes. In contrast, we have the bandit. The bandit acts with clear intention. They gain for themselves while harming others. Unlike the stupid, there is rationality in their behavior, even if immoral. The bandit understands cause and effect, knows how to manipulate circumstances in their favor, and seeks personal advantage, often calculating risks. Although harmful, their pattern of action is predictable. By studying their motivations, we can anticipate their moves and neutralize their effects. They are dangerous, but understandable. At the moral peak of the pyramid is the intelligent. These people seek mutual gains, building systems in which everyone benefits. They are the strategists of civilization, capable of balancing individual and collective interests, preventing chaos. Intelligence, according to Sapala, is not measured only by IQ or academic knowledge, but by the ability to act in a way that simultaneously increases the well-being of oneself and others. The world needs enough intelligent people because they balance the destructive forces of the stupid and the bandit, sustaining the social fabric. Finally, we arrive at the category that fascinated Sapala the most, the stupid. Unlike the bandit or the helpless, the stupid causes harm to both themselves and others without any logic, planning, or rational motivation. Their actions do not follow reason nor seek personal gain. These are decisions that defy logic and morality, capable of frustrating any attempt at prediction or control. The stupid is unpredictable, silent, and their presence in any society is always a latent threat. Within the group of the stupid, Sapala identified a subcategory, the super stupid. They elevate destruction to an almost mythical level, harming themselves while massively harming others without pause or self-control. They are the irrational leaders, the incompetent managers, the blind agitators. Their impact is not limited to small social interactions. It reverberates through institutions, policies, and even the economy, leaving trails of chaos that can, in extreme cases, lead to the collapse of entire systems. The most frightening thing is that stupidity is democratic. It does not depend on wealth, education, appearance, or social position. A billionaire CEO, an influential politician, or a respected scientist can be just as stupid as an ordinary citizen. This universal neutrality makes it impossible to fully protect oneself. At any moment, we can be affected by absurd decisions made by people who do not even realize the damage they cause. That is why vigilance and collective intelligence become essential. And there is another critical aspect. The stupid do not change categories. Unlike bandits, who can learn to act rationally, or the helpless, who can develop discernment, the stupid remain constant, like an immutable force of human nature. Their constancy is why any society needs a sufficient number of intelligent individuals to compensate for or neutralize their destructive impact. Without them, chaos is not eventual, it is inevitable. Finally, Sapala's map reveals something deep and disturbing. Stupidity is not just an individual flaw, it is a structural threat. It determines behavioral patterns, influences political, economic, and social decisions, and can alter the fate of a nation. Understanding these four groups is not just an intellectual exercise, it is a matter of collective survival. Recognizing where each of us and others fit within this map is the first step to protecting societies, building collective intelligence, and preventing the absurd from becoming dominant. Sapala did not stop at the human map. He revealed the universal laws of stupidity, rules that explain why irrational people can cause enormous damage and surprise even the smartest. The first law is simple but devastating. We always underestimate the number of stupid people in circulation. They are everywhere, infiltrating crucial decisions, social networks, streets, and government palaces. Ignoring their presence is like trying to fight a storm without realizing that dark clouds are already forming on the horizon. The second law shows that stupidity is independent of any personal characteristic. Rich, poor, educated, or ignorant, young or old, stupidity is distributed uniformly like a silent virus. This means there is no safe refuge. It does not matter which social circle you move in, how many books you have read, or how many courses you have taken. At any moment, you will be confronted with irrational decisions that can ruin plans and entire lives. It is the democratization of chaos. The third law reveals the radically irrational and unpredictable nature of the stupid. While bandits and the helpless follow some pattern, even if destructive, the stupid acts without logic. They cause harm to others without gaining anything for themselves, and sometimes even harm themselves. They are the personification of absurdity, a force beyond any calculation. Dealing with them is like walking through a minefield where explosions occur without warning and without pattern. The fourth law warns about the vulnerability of intelligent people. Non-stupid individuals always underestimate the destructive power of the stupid. Believing that rationality dominates the world, they are surprised when confronted with irrational decisions. This underestimation is fatal because it deceives us about real risks and prevents us from protecting against social and collective harm. Ignoring this law opens the door to enormous and often irreversible losses. The fifth and final law summarizes the essence of the threat. The stupid is the most dangerous type of person that exists. Unlike the bandit, who acts rationally in pursuit of personal gain, the stupid acts without logic or apparent motive. They impoverish societies, destroy lives, and corrupt institutions without any personal benefit, multiplying the effects of their actions on a collective scale. When in positions of power, their impact becomes devastating, and the consequences can spread globally. Power, as theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer warned, amplifies stupidity. Isolated leaders surrounded by flatterers lose touch with reality. The stupid in power is twice as dangerous. Not only are they irrational, but their position amplifies every absurd decision, multiplying social, economic, and political damage. And the cruel irony is that it is often democratic systems that allow these individuals to rise, reproducing stupidity in endless cycles. Furthermore, stupidity is invisible and deceptive. Most people do not recognize it until it is too late. It does not shout, it does not threaten, it does not plan, it simply destroys. A gesture, a decision, or an election can be enough for an entire society to feel the effects. And at any moment, any individual can be surprised by irrational actions that defy logic and morality. The stupid is the silent virus of civilization. Finally, understanding these laws is not just an intellectual exercise. It is a matter of social survival. Recognizing the presence of the stupid, understanding their behavior, and anticipating risks is essential to protect communities, balance political decisions, and preserve institutions. As Sapala emphasizes, the only way to contain stupidity is to increase the number of intelligent people, those who act for mutual benefit, creating a counterbalance that keeps chaos under control and prevents the absurd from becoming dominant. Power has a peculiar way of corrupting not only morality, but also the very capacity for reasoning. Dietrich Bonhoeffer observed that the more authority a person holds, the further they are from reality, and the more prone they become to act stupidly. Power creates a bubble, an ecosystem of flattery, where truth is replaced by agreement and rationality gives way to an inflated ego. A stupid person with power is not just irrational, they are devastating. When stupid individuals occupy positions of influence, the effect is not limited to isolated errors. Each irrational decision reverberates through entire systems, public policies. Companies, armed forces, and judicial institutions can be shaped by the invisible chaos they propagate. Small illogical choices can trigger catastrophic consequences, and an entire nation can pay the price for the inability to recognize and neutralize these forces. The rise of the stupid to power is not accidental. Sapala explains that societies, even democratic ones, have mechanisms that favor this situation. Elections, for example, allow the large number of stupid people in the population to elect representatives similar to themselves. Once in office, these figures perpetuate the presence of other stupid individuals in bureaucracies and strategic positions, ensuring a continuous cycle of harmful decisions that spread throughout society. The most alarming aspect is that the stupid in power is unpredictable. Unlike the bandit, who acts with purpose and self-interest, the stupid makes decisions that harm everyone, including themselves, without any pattern or logic. Trying to anticipate their actions is like trying to predict a storm that changes direction at every moment. While the intelligent prepare, observe, and plan, the stupid attacks unexpectedly, leaving chaos and destruction in their wake. This unpredictability creates a multiplying effect. Each irrational act can trigger a series of consequences that amplify the initial damage. A poorly planned decree, a badly thought-out policy, or even a poorly chosen word can generate economic crises, social conflicts, and institutional collapses. The stupid is therefore a vector of social devastation, an invisible force whose impact increases exponentially when combined with power. Moreover, the stupid becomes a catalyst for collective stupidity. People around them, often seeking approval or motivated by fear of retaliation, begin to replicate irrational behaviors. The result is a toxic ecosystem where absurd decisions spread like fire through dry vegetation. A stupid person at the top is not just an individual problem. They alter the culture and functioning of an entire organization or society. The marriage between power and stupidity also reveals a dark lesson about social vigilance. Society often does not perceive the damage until it is irreversible. Stupid politicians, managers, and leaders can remain unpunished, while irrational decisions shape the future of millions. Collective ignorance and underestimation of stupidity make the population hostage to their actions, making critical awareness and constant vigilance inevitable. Finally, understanding this phenomenon is crucial for any attempt at social survival. It is not enough to identify the stupid. It is necessary to strengthen and multiply intelligent individuals capable of acting with logic, ethics, and mutual benefit. Power without intelligence is destructive. But with the presence of sensible and vigilant minds, even the most dangerous stupidity can be limited, controlled, and to a certain extent, neutralized before its impact becomes irreversible. Modern stupidity is silent. It does not arrive announced, does not wear a uniform, does not send a warning signal. It infiltrates everyday decisions, social networks, interpersonal relationships, and the corridors of power. It is invisible but omnipresent, shaping behaviors and choices without our awareness. The more we ignore its presence, the stronger it becomes, creating a destructive cycle that is difficult to break. One of the most dangerous characteristics of this threat is that we do not recognize its presence until it is too late. By underestimating stupidity, we believe that rationality still dominates the world and that absurd decisions are exceptions. But Sapala warns us, large portions of the population are willing to act irrationally, often without realizing it. The surprise and impact of their actions catch us off guard, making any logical defense almost impossible. Power amplifies this invisible threat. Stupid leaders, surrounded by flatterers, isolate themselves from honest feedback. Their decisions begin to reflect not reality, but the illusion they construct around themselves. The greater the power, the further from reality, and the greater the potential damage. The cruelest part is that these irrational actions can determine the future of millions, influencing politics, the economy, and culture. But stupidity is not limited to those at the top. It spreads horizontally, infiltrating groups and communities, creating collective stupidity. People seeking approval, security, or belonging replicate absurd decisions, reinforcing destructive patterns. The effect is cumulative. Each irrational act, each unfounded opinion, each impulsive behavior contributes to an invisible network of social destruction. Democracy, an idealized system for balance, often intensifies the threat. By allowing large masses of individuals to decide who holds positions of power, it ensures that the number of stupid people in leadership is never zero. An election can legitimize irrationality, and the stupid in charge reproduces other stupid people around them, perpetuating the cycle. The logic of voting transforms stupidity into a structural force. The problem is even deeper. Most people cannot defend themselves against the stupidity of others. While intelligence allows one to predict, plan, and neutralize threats, the irrationality of the stupid defies all rules of prediction. The attack comes without pattern, reason, or warning. It is a phenomenon that leaves any society vulnerable, an invisible weapon that acts silently and continuously. Recognizing this threat is essential for social survival. Sapala emphasizes that the only antidote is the presence of intelligent individuals in sufficient numbers to counterbalance the damage caused by the stupid. These people create protection networks, promote mutually beneficial decisions, and limit the impact of irrational actions. Without them, society becomes easy prey for its own stupidity. Finally, the invisible threat forces us to rethink not only the external world, but our own actions. Each irrational choice, each impulsive or unreflective behavior contributes to the advance of chaos. Constant vigilance, critical thinking, and collective intelligence are the weapons we have to fight modern stupidity. With awareness and action, we can reduce its space, limit its impact, and preserve the sanity of our institutions, even if stupidity never completely disappears. Surviving stupidity requires more than just recognizing its existence. It requires conscious action. Sapala shows us that intelligence is not only an individual quality, but a collective force. The greater the number of people acting intelligently, the more capable society becomes of neutralizing the damage caused by the stupid. The first rule, therefore, is to surround yourself with individuals who think critically, act ethically, and seek mutual benefits, creating an invisible shield against irrational decisions. The second strategy is to develop personal resilience. We cannot control all the stupid actions around us, but we can control our reactions. Critical thinking, patience, and emotional discipline function as armor. When confronted with irrationality, reacting impulsively only amplifies the damage. Maintaining mental clarity allows one to analyze situations objectively, identify patterns of stupidity, and act strategically, preserving resources and energy. Third, education and constant reflection are essential. Stupidity thrives on ignorance and passivity. Questioning information, checking sources, analyzing arguments, and seeking deep understanding strengthens the mind. It is not just about accumulating knowledge, but learning to apply reasoning practically, anticipating risks and irrational decisions. A society with educated and reflective individuals reduces the space for stupidity, even if it never disappears completely. The fourth strategy is to anticipate consequences. The stupid is unpredictable, but this does not mean their impacts are impossible to foresee. Assessing potential harm and preparing countermeasures is a way to neutralize effects. If you hold a position of influence, even a small one, your intelligent actions can create barriers that limit the spread of irrationality, ensuring that others' mistakes do not become irreversible crises. Fifth, cultivating strategic empathy is a differentiator. Understanding why people act irrationally, fears, insecurities, desires, does not make them less stupid, but it allows you to reduce the impact of their actions. Knowing how to deal with the irrational without falling into emotional traps is a powerful skill. The intelligent do not seek to confront or humiliate the stupid, but to protect themselves and others, transforming adversity into learning and prevention. The sixth measure is constant vigilance over systems, policies, and collective decisions. Stupidity takes advantage of passivity, silence, and negligence. Being alert to small irrationalities, questioning consensus, anticipating impacts, and acting early prevents minor mistakes from turning into disasters. Intelligence is not static. It is a daily practice, a conscious effort to maintain order, rationality, and sanity amidst chaos. Seventh, positive influence and multiplication of intelligence. Intelligent people have the duty to spread logic, rationality, and ethics. Every intelligent action, every ethical decision, every well-founded discussion serves as a barrier against the advance of stupidity. It is silent work, but cumulative. The more people act with clarity, the stronger the protection networks become, limiting the impact of absurd decisions and strengthening society. Finally, surviving stupidity is not just a matter of defense, but of hope and responsibility. With vigilance, education, empathy, and collective action, we can significantly reduce damage, even while living in a world full of irrationality. Understanding stupidity is not just an intellectual curiosity, it is a matter of social survival. So, reflect, strengthen your mind and your circles, and never underestimate the power of intelligence. If you want to continue learning to protect your life, your society, and your future, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join us in this silent fight against modern stupidity. Now that you understand how modern stupidity infiltrates our lives, influences decisions, and threatens entire societies, it is time to act. Reflect on your own choices, surround yourself with intelligent people, question information, and strengthen your ability to think critically. Knowledge is your best weapon against the silent chaos that surrounds us. If you want to continue protecting yourself, expanding your mind, and learning to survive the irrationality that dominates the world, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join those who choose to act intelligently instead of being victims of stupidity. These two videos in front of you are not here by chance. And what if everything you believe about yourself is only a reflection of someone else's gaze? Click now on one of the videos beside you and begin to break that mirror. You will have to risk the click. So, which one will you choose?